Are you ready? Are you ready? It's now time. The moment you've been waiting for. After 167 agonizing hours, they've returned. Now, back for a brand new Live with Joshua show. It's your host, Joshua.
So it's although I've spoken at TEDx platforms twice, I think it was the first time I'm moderating a session. So big thanks to the organizer, really, because we go way back, and I was building communities starting from, I think, 2012. So I think we built about 3 communities over the last couple of years, and yeah, so they brought me in as a moderator and as a retired community builder. I may be building something again later this year. I got the chance to interview 2 ladies, Davina and Farah, on their various community building projects. And one is on the Malaysian Vegan Society, so to promote vegan living. That's one, and Farah is on social enterprises. So it's pretty interesting to see what some people just decide to, I think they see a problem in society, and they just decided to rally people around it and build something around it. Yeah.
How cool. Okay, so right now you are in Malaysia.
Yes, I am.
Have you done any kind of traveling?
Oh yeah, I just came back from Bali yesterday.
I was going to say, so you have this thing where you would go and stay for 90 days. Is that right?
Yeah, so a bit of a digital nomad. So every year I do my best. I try my best to basically live in another city, at least for 30 days. And because of the visa condition as a Malaysian, most countries only allow us to stay for 30 days before I need to leave the country and come back again. So I end up breaking the trips to 30, 30, 30. So maybe 30 days in Chiang Mai, another 30 days in Taiwan, or 30 days in Japan. Yeah.
Okay, tell me this. What do you mean when somebody told you that you were one of the worst person? What does that mean?
Oh, okay. So what happened was, I think this was so long ago. So there was this, I think I was still very young at that time. And then basically I was presenting a offering to one of the largest insurance companies in Malaysia. And I think I didn't do a really good job. And right after that, she sent an email to my mentor at the time, and also me, saying that I'm one of the worst salesperson she has ever met. So I think that single event have actually led me on to look at, okay, so if let's say I'm not good at sales, can I be good at something else? What happens before sales? And that's how marketing came around. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to marketing tech as well. So that came in handy. But the irony is that almost 20 years after that incident, that company eventually became a client of ours. Of course, the person has already left.
So that was 23 something years ago.
Oh yeah, very early. I think almost 2004, 2005.
Fast forward today, you now have created a frameworks that you call it operationalized long-term profitability. Can you explain more about that?
Okay, so let's talk about frameworks first. So a lot of times, okay, so a good metaphor is this: you may have the best kitchen, which means that you have all the equipments, you have all the ingredients, but if you don't have the recipe, you can't really cook the greatest dish as well, despite all the resources that's presented. So in many cases in business, the frameworks that we use are like the recipes. So there are frameworks for sales, there are frameworks for email, there are frameworks for even AI enablement as well. So think of it like a checklist of sorts. And because it is success simplified, which means that because a lot of times success leaves a trail. So if let's say you can study successful people, you can see what are the steps that they take, and those steps can be turned into a framework, and then you can pass on this framework to another person. Of course, they may not be able to replicate 100% of the success, but at least you are giving them a head start. And sometimes they may even take the framework and do a better job than the original person. So frameworks have always been used in the big four, like KPMG, Accenture, and because I sort of come from a consulting background, that's where my love of frameworks come in, and I realized that it actually helps operationalize a lot of things that could not be easily operationalized.
I see. Any advices as to standing out in a crowded marketplace?
Very good question. So, if you are in a service-based industry, like where I am, frameworks is one of it. So, in the market, most people don't have a framework, so that leave them out. And then there's a certain smaller percentage. What they do is that they go get certified in certain frameworks, and then DISC, or it could be Lean Six Sigma. So they go through certain programs or discipline, and because of that, they got certain frameworks, which I guess in a way they borrowed it because it belongs to someone else. And then again, there's another subset of people like me who create our own frameworks now. Of course, creating frameworks is not as easy as just like drawing a triangle and putting three words on it. A lot of times we have to condense years and years of insights and experience into a very simple illustration. So why illustration? Of course, it works well as a checklist as well, but people don't remember checklists, you see. But if let's say it comes out like a shape, like a Venn diagram or a pyramid, then there is a visual recall. The more they can recall the framework, the easier it is for them to implement it. So for example, we have seen Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, where he talks about employee, self-employed, investor, business owner. Very simple. You can draw it on a piece of paper, very easy to cascade the message as well. So that's one of the ways that we use to differentiate, at least myself. And then, but for the others as well, if they don't have frameworks, perhaps look for three things that your company do really, really well. And those three things must be, you must be able to measure and prove it. So like, for example, a lot of times people will say that, hey, our customer service is really awesome. The truth is that I've not met a single company that say that their customer service sucks, right? So now what is there to prove? For example, it could be an NPS, Net Promoter Score. It could be reviews. It could be testimonials that prove that customer service. So if let's say they can find, because if you just put out one thing and you say that you are the best at that one thing, competitors can easily beat you up. But if let's say you have three things combined together, it's going to be a lot harder for another competitor to compete on that three things. So that is probably one of the easiest way that I can think of for anyone to basically stand out in a competitive market, whether it's a product space or service space or solution space. I hope that answers your question.
I find it to be very interesting about you. You used to be a Buddhist monk,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Can you share more about that?
Well, I would say it's one of the more boring parts of my life, but being a Buddhist monk, the routine itself to a normal person is actually very boring because it's very introspective. So for example, every day you wake up at 4:30, and then after that, you go clean the compound at 5. You say prayers, chant at 6 o'clock. You meditate at 6:30, 8 o'clock. You have breakfast. So the whole routine is the same every single day as a Buddhist monk. Once in a while, there are some variations. Field trips, like for example, you were to visit a home of someone, but most of the time it's the same. But I think in that routineness, it has actually helped refine a lot of introspection as well. Because if we are always stimulated with different things, right, we realize that it's actually a lot harder to practice things like reflection or even gratitude. So my mom have always been a staunch Buddhist, and she said that, hey, if you'll be really happy if you join this program at this temple, and that's how I got into it. So in the Sri Lankan tradition, before you're married, it is advisable, or it is nice if you can do like a 3-year stint as a monk, or we call them a novice monk. In Pali, it's called samanera. So you still have to shave your head, you still have to put on your robes, but it's almost like monks on training wheels. And then after the 3 years, you can decide if it's something that you want to do kind of like permanently, right? So I haven't really got to the second part of it because I was really young when I was at the temple. I was only 14, 15, and 16. So I come to realize that there's a lot of things in life that I haven't really experienced. For example, Buddhism talks about life is suffering, dukkha. But for a 14-year-old, I may not have understood much of suffering. Not to say we intentionally go and look out for suffering. I haven't lost any parents. I haven't lost any loved one yet at that stage. But of course, now it's a totally different story. So I think over time, towards the end of my life, I may dedicate a larger chunk of it in the temple permanently, where probably if you want to do this podcast again, you probably will need to come to a jungle to look for me.
I see. Okay. We might just have to take you up on that. Okay, so right now your latest project is this Radiant Institute.
Mm.
Tell us more about that.
Okay, so well, I've always been in the L&D, learning and development training space for over the last 2 decades. I took a break from it over the last 5 years, since 2019, just a year before COVID, to focus on more SME consulting. And I thought last year I wanted to restart this training business again. So, and I realized that the market have changed a lot. It's really exciting because of so many changes that happened because of COVID. But at the same time, I'm in a way starting new because it's like I took a 5-year gap and then now I'm coming back to the training industry, right? So on one of the silent retreats that I went, I guess as because of introspection as well, we have a lot of time to think inwards. I was actually looking for ways where I can position a new company, Radiant Institute, differently from, I think there were easily 8,000 over similar training providers in Malaysia, in where I operate. So, and a lot of them have longer track record, they have amazing clients, and I'm starting out with zero. And it was during one of those meditations that actually the idea of AI sort of formed in me, because I was already using AI in a bit, but there weren't many training providers that were offering really good quality AI training programs. So that's how Radiant Institute was born. Our focus has been always 2 areas: either foundational AI. Foundational AI is where we train anyone in a company to talk to machines, talk to AI. It is very common for companies to send their people to communications training where they learn how to communicate with another person. But I guess our program, the difference is that you send your people to be able to talk better with machines. Okay, so that's the foundational AI. And then we have another category of programs which is under functional AI. Functional AI, which means that what are some of the AI tools for specific functions? It could be sales, could be marketing, could be data storytelling, could be coaching. So we basically curate AI tools for a very specific function. That's why we call it functional AI. And then foundational AI is basically something that everyone can come. As long as you use, we tell this to clients, if anyone that is spending at least 3 hours a day on a computer, they can definitely benefit from coming to one of our foundational AI programs.
I see. Let me ask you this. So you spoke about AI. Does that mean that you are welcoming AI with open arms?
Um, hmm. Well, okay, the truth is that AI is progressing at such a rapid pace, right? And to be honest, AI is actually not really, really new. It just gained prominence when ChatGPT came around in November 2022, because if you trace back the history of AI, it all started even during World War II, Alan Turing's time with the imitation test. But the truth is that I think in the last 3 to 5 decades, there were literally nothing fantastic that came out of AI, at least to the public scene. But there were amazing research, Google DeepMind, they are doing great stuff. But I think over the last 2.5 years, suddenly everything becomes AI, right? It's almost as if you can't ignore it anymore. I mean, look at it. I think Sam Altman of OpenAI just talked about this last week, and he said that it took OpenAI about 5 days to hit 1 million users when they first launched it in November 2022. So it took about 5 days to hit 1 million users. Now and recently, when they launched it's not even launched, they update the image generation. So obviously on social media right now, you'll see a lot of Studio Ghibli or anime-like portraits of your friends, photos. It's probably because of this GPT-4 image generation. Now, when they launched that single feature, they managed to get another 1 million users in less than 1 hour. So if you look at the adoption rate, it's literally crazy. Everyone is, if you're using a phone, there's a very high chance, 9 out of 10, you are using one part of AI. Even if you are using the keyboard on your iPhone or your Android phone, the fact that it can predict the next word is already one part of AI. So then the choice will become, do I want to passively and benefit from AI, or do I want to proactively or actively benefit from AI? So we don't know where the end game lies. I think it would be very foolish to wait until, okay, so I know what is the end game of all these AI companies before deciding to join the swim. I think a lot of times in business, it requires a bit of risk taking. And here's me taking risks as well. Could the AI bubble burst? I don't know, maybe. But I think the true hallmark of any good entrepreneur, which I aspire to be, is to fall on the floor and still climb back up and look for something new, right? So, yeah. So as of the moment, I think I'm a very strong advocate when it comes to AI. At least, and even if, and this one I think I echo Professor Ethan Mollick from the Wharton Business School. Even if AI development were to stop today, for some odd reason, everything stops when it comes to AI development, we will still continue to benefit from it for the next 10 years. That's what I really believe.
I see. That's interesting. Can you share a little bit of why you decided to become an entrepreneur?
Oh, very simple. Because when you are when you are a dropout, when you don't have a tertiary degree in any way, there are just not many options out there. But also at the same time, I think a part of me, I enjoy solving problems. And although there are many definitions of entrepreneurship, but I believe that entrepreneurs are people who are very good at creating value. And creating value one of it is by solving problems. So I think that's one part of me that I enjoy. So, but to be honest, when I was in school, all the way until I'm like maybe university, 21, before I drop out, I've never thought of becoming an entrepreneur or business owner. My dad runs a business, self-employed, so I was exposed to it. And I come from a smaller town where majority of my friends' parents were actually business owners as well. So I had that opportunity to be in a group of entrepreneurs, and yet it never really triggered. But it was, I think, a hallmark moment for me, I guess, would be when my friend passed me a copy of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. I look at it and I realize that, oh, okay, so you don't really have to be an employee. You can become a self-employed person. You can become a business owner or investor, right? So I thought, well, business ownership, I don't really have the capital yet. So it's going to be a bit hard for me to buy a franchise. So let's explore self-employment. And I think that's where most solopreneurs start. And most entrepreneurs stay as self-employed as well. Me, myself, I've been self-employed up until 2019, where I decided to, hey, can I find a way to operationalize myself so that if anything were to happen to me, I'm already 43 this year. If anything were to happen to me, can the business run? Can the income still come in after that? So right now I'm in the second phase of my entrepreneurship journey, I guess you can say it that way, where I'm in the process of building businesses that can run without me. And I think I'm actually very lucky because this aspiration came in the age of AI, and with the birth of like AI agents. I think everywhere you start seeing people talking about AI agents since the early of this year. It is totally possible to run maybe a $10 million company with just one or two person. But you could have 1,000 agents working under you and just 2% managing the agents, right? So I think we are truly in a age where wealth is generated at a faster pace than ever before. And yeah, you'd be silly if you don't ride it. I think the worst position to be in is like 5 years down the road and you're like, shit, I should have gone on the AI wave, right? So then I'll beat myself up. So yeah, I think that's me still going it strong. I think I'm highly unemployable right now, although it would be nice if I can get a stability of a paid paycheck. But you know, that's an experience that I never really had for a very, very long time.
What was the biggest lessons that you learned from doing all of this, you think?
Entrepreneurship?
Yep.
Hmm, okay, well, that's a loaded question, but a couple of things. So one, so I just came out from a failed business partnership, and over the last 23 years, this would be like my fourth one. And I guess the lesson that I got out from it is that if you can do it on your own, now I'm not being egoistic bastard by saying that I can do everything on my own. I recognize that we need a team, but we're talking about co-foundership right now, partnership, right? So definitely I'm building a team as well. But whether you need to have a business partner or a co-founder in your venture, it really depends because I think in the early days of my entrepreneurship, I believe in what Y Combinator, Paul Graham talks about most of the time, where they will only fund startups where there are co-founders. Very rarely do they fund a solo founder startup. And from there, I think I got the notion that, oh, okay, to be successful, you need to have co-founders. But then I realized if you're not building a startup, then maybe you don't really need that co-founder thing, right? So that was one lesson that came, that is still raw for me because I'm still, even though the business partnership ended, there are still loose ends. And it's those, and for me, it hits harder because while I don't have, and mainly because of my introvertedness, I don't have a lot of friends really. And because of the business partnership failure, I actually lost friends as well. And I think money aside, I think is or hard work aside, I think it's the relationship that I treasure the most. And so when the business partnership failed, I think that's the one that hit me the most as well. So, but of course, different people will walk away from partnership failures, learning different things. But if you were to ask me something that's recent, it would be that. Now, I'm not giving up entirely on finding business partners, but at least I'm not proactively or aggressively looking for one right now. It's so my take with Radiant Institute is that I will have a team and I will lead the team. If so happens someone come around and there's some form of synergy that we can become business partners, we'll start working through projects first. And I guess this also brings me to the second big lesson: is always have good contracts. At the start of my career, I always think that contracts are BS. It's just a waste of time, paperwork. But after all this, I realized that it would have been a lot easier. I could have still run the previous company, and I don't have to resign as a director if proper contracts were actually in place. So, but having said that, if you were to ask me the Tim Ferriss question of if I can go back to a younger self, what advice would I give? If I were to give this contract advice to the younger self, the younger Maverick, I think he probably won't listen. It's probably one lesson that you will need to touch fire to know that it's hot, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Mm. For the younger folks who would like to someday do the same thing you're doing, what would you tell them?
Hmm. Um, okay, so for the younger folks, right? So, well, I assume that maybe they just started employment or they are considering entrepreneurship as a pathway. Perhaps a good thing to really get right at the start, and this I believe is something very foundational, is to is not to build a lifestyle around your business, which means that, oh, this is my business, this is how I make money. Let me build a lifestyle around it. That means that you will always be a slave to the business. But if you can flip the equation around where you build a business around your lifestyle. So like I'm a single dad. So I'm a single dad for the last 12, 13 years already. So which means that I need to build a business that works in a way where I can still take care of my son. So if I have gone into a business that's very labor intensive, for example, operating a cafe, and at the early days, I probably had to work really hard. And how do I juggle between being a dad, transporting the kid and all that while starting a business? So which is that business will not fit my lifestyle. So about being a consultant, I have a bit of a free time. I can get to, decide what hours I want to work with, when I want to meet clients as well. So that one works. So always don't get attached to the business. Don't get attached to the vocation, but the vocation, the skill set should always serve the lifestyle that you want to live. And granted, our lifestyle will change over time. At the start, maybe you like to travel a bit more, become a digital nomad. Maybe later in life, you want to settle down, start a family. So don't be a slave to a business that, oh man, my business is built to be a digital nomad and I can't settle down. I think that's one of the worst positions to be in. So if I can summarize it very quickly, do not build a lifestyle around your business, build a business around your lifestyle.
Share with me why you enjoy and like to work at coffee shops so much.
Oh, so I have this weird thing. I can focus really well in a state of disassociated chaos. So disassociated chaos means that things are happening around me, but it has nothing to do with me, which means that people are talking, people are like, there are movements around, but it doesn't involve me. So because the moment someone come and start talking to me, that is associated chaos already. Of course, I may enjoy that conversation as well. Because if you put me in, but I do work quite well in a quiet place as well, which is if you put me at a corner, like a library that's very quiet, I can focus well. But I would suffer from creativity deprivation, I guess. because when I see things moving around, when I feel the movement of things, I realize that I am actually a lot more creative than if I just find a quiet place. There are so many co-working spaces where they have like some sort of like a room, like a focus pod where you go in and you tune up the sound and you basically just work. In those, I appreciate situations like this, and those are really useful. But if you ask me to work at that out, that for like maybe perhaps more than 2 hours, I probably would start getting out of the room more often, and I'll definitely lose focus. And it's interesting that you asked that question because the whole digital nomadism of me starts because I like working at cafes, and the questions that I got was, what if I start working in different cafes in another part of the city, in another part of the country, or perhaps another part or in another country altogether? So most places that I go, I look at actually the cafes first before I decide whether I want to go there. Because if I go there, it's a minimum of 4 weeks. If I don't like the place or the place is not very conducive, it's going to be quite hard for me. And I try to avoid co-working spaces if I can, because at cafes is where you get to see more of the people in and out. Yeah, so that's my, I guess that's my reason of being, of liking to work in cafes.
I see. Can you explain what is a digital nomad for those who don't understand?
Oh, sure. Technically, someone. Okay, so I'm half of a nomad because I have a base that is in Malaysia right now. But a lot of digital nomad or full digital nomad will be someone where they can work anywhere in the world, regardless of the time zone. You see a lot of writers doing it. Coders do that as well. So they would work 9 to 5 at different locations, maybe every day. And then after that, they get to basically do some tourist stuff. So imagine perhaps in a year, you go to 12 different places, right? You get to enjoy different food, you get to observe different culture. Your weekend activities will be very different. You are still, the money that you are earning is enough for you to feed this experience. And a lot of times people will think that, hey, man, if you go to a place for 30 days, don't you get bored? Actually, I don't, because if you put aside the thought of traveling, but you basically install the thought of, hey, I am living here for the next 30 days. Living means that I go to grocery shopping, I go to do the weekend activities, just like how the locals do it. And I go to work as well during my 9 to 5, for example. So that is like a interest. That's like a nice lifestyle to have where you get to see different things and work at different cafes. In my case, and at the same time still be quite productive. But it's not for everyone. Some people really, really need to be stationed somewhere for them to be productive. But for me, as I mentioned earlier, if you put me at one place for too long, I'll probably be dead after that.
I see. Before we let you go, I just have one more thing I'd like to ask you. What are you mostly looking forward to for 2025?
Wow. Okay. Since we talk quite a fair bit about AI, so I'm just gonna write on it because it is on my mind a lot. And like for example, like I was at a wellness center last week where there wasn't solid internet, so I was quite going through a bit of a digital detox. And there's no internet as well, which means that I can't actually access most of the AI tools because most of the AI tools that I have are not run off my machine, they are run off the cloud. It requires the internet, right? And I realized that, so on Sunday, when I came out of this cocoon of digital detox, there were so many things that already happened in the space of AI. Like OpenAI completed their round, and then, of course, Donald Trump talked about the import tariffs and all that. So, and I realized that the pace at which AI is evolving is so fast that I'm a bit mixed of feelings about it. So it's either at one point I'm actually quite anxious, like, man, I don't know whatever I'm doing today, is it still going to be relevant like in 5 days time, right? But at the same time, because of the rapid change, another part of me is actually very excited about the possibilities as well. So AI is definitely something I look forward to on it. Yes, it can be daunting, but at the same time, I think it's also exciting too. And of course, this is technically the first year that Radiant Institute is operating. So I would like to see how we can hit our revenue targets and all that. But on the condition that I do it with AI, it's actually not as fun to hit a revenue goal because end of the day, it's just profit, it's just money, right? But if you have a certain way of achieving it, and I think that tells a better story. So I guess if you ask me, end of the day, it's the narrative that is more important than the outcome sometimes. What's the story of it? I don't care who dies or who lives, but what's the story? What's the lesson that comes out from it? And I guess what is the narrative that comes out from this AI race? That's something that I look forward to this year.
Awesome. With that, folks, we are so out of time. Just want to say thank you so much for
Hey, man, thanks.
being here today and sharing your story with us. Hey, real quick, from scale of 1 to 10, how much did you enjoy this session just now?
Me? Hey, to be honest, it's 6 in the morning over here. Of course, I do wake up early every day, but this is probably the earliest call I ever had. And yes, really something memorable for me for years to come, for sure.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, I was gonna say that it's 6 in the morning for you where you are.
Yeah.
Do you usually wake up this late?
This early? Yeah, I would because I usually wake up at 5:30 in the morning. So that's why 6 a.m. is actually fine. I start my day early, and I usually try to get most of the work done before 9 o'clock. Then I can, put out fires and all that after that.
Wow, that is amazing. We have so much learning to learn from you. Again, thank you so very much, and we are so hoping to catch up with you again really soon. Have yourself a fantastic day, and hoping that you're gonna get a whole lot done today. Yes.
Take care, man. Okay, thanks, Joshua.
Thanks again. And everybody else, thank you so very much for tuning in. We appreciate you spending your time with us. And again, the fact that you're here make it all worthwhile. You see? And with that, I'm out. Until next time, be blessed and stay blessed.